By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what the famous marshmallow experiment actually revealed and why the lesson most people take from it is dangerously wrong. The researchers followed those kids for over 40 years, and what they found will reframe everything you think you know about self-control and success. All right, let's start at the beginning. In the late 1960s, a psychologist named Walter Mischel was running experiments at Stanford. He would bring children all around 4 or 5 years old into a simple room, a table, a chair, a single marshmallow sitting on it. Mischel would tell each child the same thing. I'm going to leave this room for a while. If you don't eat this marshmallow while I'm gone, I'll give you 2 marshmallows when I return. But if you eat it before I get back, you only get the one. Then he would leave, and he would watch through a one-way mirror. Now, here's what nobody talks about. The experiment wasn't really about the marshmallows. It was about what happened in that room. The strategies these 4-year-olds invented to survive 15 minutes of temptation. Some turned their backs to the table. Some sang songs to themselves. One kid carefully placed his hands on his head so he wouldn't reach for the marshmallow. Those strategies mattered a lot. Because years later, when Michel's team tracked down as many of those original kids as they could find, they discovered something that made headlines around the world. The children who had resisted, who had found a way to wait, showed measurably better life outcomes, higher SAT scores, lower rates of obesity, lower rates of substance abuse. One study showed a correlation between marshmallow patience and brain activity in areas linked to self-regulation. The numbers were striking. In the original Stanford study, about 60% of kids ate the marshmallow immediately or within a few minutes. Only about 30 to 40% held out for the full 15 minutes to earn the second one. And those patient kids, they seemed destined for greatness. So the narrative took hold. Marshmallow patience equals future success. If you want your kids to succeed, teach them to resist. Some schools even started marshmallow-style programs to build children's willpower. It made perfect sense, except it was mostly wrong. Here's what the follow-up research found, and this is the part that changes everything. The original studies didn't account for something fundamental. The children who waited weren't necessarily more disciplined. Many of them came from stable homes, reliable homes, homes where adults kept their promises. So when Mischel told them, "I'll come back," they believed him. They had learned, through years of experience, that waiting actually pays off. Now think about a child from a chaotic environment, a foster home, a household where promises are broken daily. When you tell that child, "Wait, and I'll give you 2, what have they learned? That waiting is a trap, that the reward never comes. Of course, they eat the marshmallow. If you're finding this useful so far, go ahead and subscribe. I've got the most important part coming up. What this actually means for building self-control in real life. So the marshmallow test didn't measure innate willpower. It measured something deeper. It measured trust. It measured environment. It measured whether a child had learned that the world is reliable enough to wait for better things. This reframes the entire experiment, and it explains why later replication showed something fascinating. When researchers changed the conditions, when they made sure the children actually believed the second marshmallow would appear, the patience rates jumped dramatically. Same children, same age, different outcome. So what does this mean for you? It means delayed gratification is absolutely real. The ability to wait for a better outcome, to resist immediate impulses in favor of larger goals. That's a skill that shapes everything from financial stability to physical health. But here's what the popular version gets wrong. It's not a character trait. It's not something you're born with or without. It's a system, and you can build it. Mischel himself spent decades studying how people generate self-control. Not how much they have, but how they create it in the moment. And his findings were consistent. People who are good at delayed gratification aren't better at resisting temptation. They're better at changing what they're thinking about. That's the secret. The strategy matters more than the strength. When you focus your attention away from the reward, when you transform the meaning of the situation in your mind, that's when willpower becomes unnecessary. You don't fight the urge. You replace the urge. The child who sang to herself wasn't exercising superhuman restraint. She was making the marshmallow irrelevant. The man who puts his credit card in a drawer is improving his discipline. He's removing the instant access that overwhelms the system. This is why environment design beats EG. EG is finite. It's a depleting resource. But a well-designed environment doesn't need willpower at all. So here's the real lesson from Stanford. Delayed gratification isn't about having more self-control. It's about building a system where self-control becomes optional. Remove the marshmallow from the table. Remove the junk food from your kitchen. Remove the social media apps from your phone. Make the better choice easier than the worse one. Create an environment where waiting actually works, where the second marshmallow reliably appears. Because if you've learned that waiting pays off, really learned it deep in your bones, Then the strategy comes naturally. You won't need to sing to yourself. The belief does the work for you. That's the insight that took researchers decades to uncover. And it's why understanding this experiment matters more than just knowing its results. All right. Hit subscribe if you want more content like this. I'll see you in the next one.